When life applies pressure, most people break. They panic, they react emotionally, they lose control of their mind. And when you lose your mind, you lose everything. Mental toughness is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it is not built in comfort. It is built in fire. This audiobook is about creating a mind that does not crack under stress, that does not fold when it matters, and that does not get dragged by emotions. You are going to learn how to stay calm under pressure, strategic under chaos, and powerful in moments where others collapse. This is not motivation. This is mental reprogramming.
Chapter 1. Control yourself or lose yourself. You either control yourself or you hand your life away to whatever emotion shows up first. There is no in-between. There is no neutral ground. Every moment under pressure is a test. Every heated situation is a question. Who is in charge here? Your mind or your impulses? Your discipline or your panic? Calm is your power. Panic is your weakness. And if you don't learn to control yourself, life will control you for you. Listen carefully. You have a choice. That's the key. Most people don't believe that. They think emotions just happen. They think reactions are automatic. They think anger, fear, overreaction, panic are who they are. No, that is the lie that keeps people weak. It's not about being naturally calm. It's about building calm like a muscle. It's not about having the right personality. It's about discipline. You don't need their permission to control your mind. You don't need your past to agree. You don't need your feelings to approve. You choose control, or you lose control. It's that simple.
Look at the highest performers in the world. Athletes in the final seconds of a championship, soldiers in the chaos of combat, CEOs making billion-dollar decisions when everything is burning. They all have one thing in common. They don't panic when normal people panic. They don't react emotionally when everyone else collapses. They train emotional control. They build it deliberately. Why? Because panic costs games. Panic costs lives. Panic costs companies. And panic is costing you opportunities, relationships, progress, and self-respect. Calm is not weakness. Calm is not passiveness. Calm is not doing nothing. Calm is controlled power. Calm is targeted force. Calm is clarity under pressure. And here is the truth most people hate hearing. Your emotional reactions are your responsibility, not the world's, not your circumstances, not the person who upset you. You have a choice. That's the key. You either take accountability or you stay stuck living as a slave to every stress impulse your brain throws at you.
Your mind defaults to panic because panic is easy. It's easy to snap. It's easy to lash out. It's easy to break down and call it normal. But easy is not your standard anymore. Mental toughness is built when you refuse to take the easy reaction, when you feel the surge of adrenaline, and instead of exploding, you pause. Instead of overthinking, you slow down. Instead of spiraling, you stabilize. Slow is strong. Say it again. Slow is strong. When you slow your reactions, you regain your control. When you regain your control, you regain your life. So how do you actually do this? How do you build real emotional control instead of just talking about it? You start with 3 habits: grounding, breathing, and deliberate pause. Simple? Yes. Weak? No. These are not soft skills. These are what world-class performers use to keep their mind sharp under pressure. Grounding means you pull your focus back into the present moment, not the story your mind is writing, not the fear of the future, not the anger of the past. Right now. What is actually happening? What do you truly control in this second? That's the key. Panic comes from projecting catastrophe. Calm comes from commanding the present. Breathing is not just relaxation, it is regulation. When you breathe slow and deep, you are literally telling your nervous system to stand down. You are signaling strength. You are choosing control. Remember, you have a choice. It takes 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds can save you from saying something you regret. They can save you from making a weak decision. They can save you from acting like the person you're trying to outgrow. Slow is strong.
Then comes the deliberate pause, the discipline of not reacting first, the skill of not answering immediately, the power of waiting 2 seconds before responding. This is not hesitation. This is strength. You are not avoiding the moment, you are owning it. You are telling your emotions, you don't run me. You are proving to yourself that you are not a puppet to mood, stress, or pressure. You have a choice. That's the key. Many people will resist this idea. They will say, that's just how I am. No, that's how you've trained yourself to be. It's not about identity, it's about discipline. It's not about being emotional, it's about being intentional. You don't need anyone's permission to change how you respond to life. You don't need a dramatic story. You don't need a special background. What you need is commitment. Commitment to self-control, commitment to composure, commitment to becoming stronger than your impulses. Understand this. The person who controls themselves controls the situation, not because they dominate others, but because they refuse to be dominated internally. When chaos hits and everyone panics, the calm person leads. When emotions explode, the calm person thinks. When everyone else is drowning in reaction, the calm person swims forward. Calm is your power. Panic is your weakness. Repeat it until your mind absorbs it. Think about your life. Think about the arguments that got worse because you reacted too fast. Think about the opportunities you lost because you panicked. Think about the confidence you could have had if you stayed steady. You have a choice now. You can keep repeating the same emotional patterns, or you can train control just like any other skill. That's the key. So starting today, you train it. You practice pausing. You practice breathing. You practice grounding. You practice staying composed when someone pushes your buttons. You practice silence when your ego wants to talk. You practice discipline when chaos appears. Because it's not about comfort, it's about discipline. It's not about looking strong, it's about being strong. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world to make it easy. You simply have to choose control again and again and again. Slow is strong. Calm is strength. Control is freedom. Every day you practice this, you are rewiring your mind. Every day you do this, you become harder to shake, harder to rattle, harder to break. And one day, when life applies real pressure, you will realize something powerful. You didn't become cold, you became disciplined. You didn't become emotionless, you became emotionally responsible. You didn't lose your humanity, you gained your authority. Control yourself or lose yourself. That is the law. That is the reality. That is the standard now. You've taken the first step toward mental toughness by owning your reactions. You learned why calm is power. You learned why panic is weakness. And you learned that you always have a choice. Now let's go deeper. Pressure doesn't create who you are. It reveals it. You mastered the first lesson of control. Now it's time to confront the truth that pressure exposes everything you try to hide. Chapter 2. Pressure reveals what you really are. Pressure does not create weakness. Pressure reveals weakness. Stress doesn't invent your cracks. It simply shines a bright, unforgiving light on the ones already there. And most people hate that truth. They don't want to hear it. They want to blame the situation. They want to blame the moment. They want to blame the world. But pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is a mirror. Pressure shows you who you really are when comfort is gone. Pressure strips away the performance. Pressure strips away the image. Pressure strips away the pretend toughness. And what's left is the truth. Listen closely. You have a choice. That's the key. When pressure shows you something you don't like about yourself, you can deny it or you can face it. You can hide behind excuses or you can own what needs to be fixed. You don't need their permission to level up. You don't need validation to outgrow your weakness. But you do need honesty, brutal honesty. Because pressure does not lie. Pressure tells you the truth about your discipline, your patience, your preparation, your emotional control. Think about real life. Think about exams. Students don't fail in the exam room because the exam room is evil. They fail because the exam reveals what they did or didn't do before they walked in. Pressure is a mirror. Think about business. A crisis hits. A decision must be made. Some leaders crumble. They freeze. They panic. They blame circumstances. But the crisis didn't break them. The crisis revealed they never built true leadership in the first place. Pressure is a mirror. Think about confrontation. Someone challenges you. Someone disrespects you. Someone questions you. And suddenly, your emotions explode. That confrontation didn't create your insecurity. It exposed it. Pressure is a mirror. This is why weak people run from pressure. They avoid tests. They avoid demanding environments. They avoid responsibility. Why? Because pressure exposes truth, and truth requires accountability. But if you want mental toughness, you must do the opposite. You lean in. You allow pressure to reveal the truth. You allow pressure to expose your weak spots. Because when you see them, you can strengthen them. When you see them, you can train them. When you see them, you can transform them. You have a choice. That's the key. You can treat pressure like punishment, or you can treat pressure like feedback. Most people panic when things get intense because they think pressure is judgment. But pressure isn't judging you. Pressure is informing you. That's the difference. Breakdowns are not your identity. Breakdowns are information. Struggle is not who you are. Struggle simply shows you what must be disciplined. It's not about failure. It's about discipline. It's not about embarrassment. It's about responsibility. You don't need their permission to improve. You only need courage to face the mirror.
When you're under pressure, your habits show. Your preparation shows. Your self-talk shows. Your emotional stability shows. Nothing is hidden. That's why pressure is so valuable. Pressure exposes truth faster than time. When things are easy, everyone looks confident. Everyone looks composed. Everyone looks strong. But easy environments lie. Comfort lies. Ease hides weakness. When pressure shows up, the mask falls off. So here's the transformation challenge. Instead of saying pressure is too much, you start saying pressure is revealing something I need to strengthen. Instead of saying I can't handle this, you say this is showing me exactly what I must work on. You have a choice. That's the key. You stop personalizing failure. You stop labeling yourself as broken or not enough. You stop crying about the mirror and start fixing the reflection. Think about how athletes use this. They review game footage after losses. Why? Not to feel bad, not to create guilt, but to identify exactly where they broke down. They look at where they hesitated, where their conditioning failed, where their discipline cracked. Pressure exposed it. Now they can repair it. Now they can train it. Now they can come back stronger. That's how you must treat your life. With the same analytical mindset, with the same disciplined honesty. When pressure exposes your anger issues, that is not a curse, that's awareness. When pressure exposes your lack of focus, that is not humiliation, that's intelligence. When pressure exposes your emotional impulsiveness, that is not defeat, that's information. Pressure is a mirror. Stop smashing the mirror, use it. Here's what you must start doing in real life. First, when pressure hits, don't react emotionally. Observe. Notice what you feel. Notice where you mentally crack. Calmly identify the weakness. You have a choice. That's the key. You can judge yourself or you can study yourself. Choose to study. Second, write it down. Name the weakness, name the behavior, name the reaction. When you define it, you gain power over it. Third, create training. Don't just hope it improves, train it. If you panic in conversations, train communication. If you freeze under responsibility, take on more controlled responsibility. If you collapse emotionally, build grounding habits. It's not about shame, it's about discipline.
And remember this powerful truth. The people you admire today, the calm leaders, the composed performers, the mentally strong individuals, you know what built them? Pressure. They faced the mirror instead of running. They used exposure instead of hiding. They accepted that discomfort was their greatest teacher, and they grew. They didn't cry that life was hard. They didn't complain that pressure was unfair. They understood pressure is part of greatness. Pressure is part of maturity. Pressure is part of becoming unshakable. You don't need anyone's permission to use pressure as fuel. You don't need approval to take ownership. This is your mind. This is your development. And yes, it will sting. Yes, it will be uncomfortable to admit where you're weak. But comfort will not build you. Honesty will. Discipline will. Pressure will. So from now on, when life tightens, when tension rises, when things get real, you don't collapse. You don't whine. You don't hide. You observe. You learn, you adjust, you grow. Pressure is a mirror. It is a gift for those committed to growth. It is torture only for those who refuse responsibility. You have a choice. That's the key. Let pressure define you or let pressure refine you. Let pressure break you or let pressure build you. The difference isn't luck. The difference is discipline. The difference is mindset. The difference is your decision in that moment. Because here is the bigger picture. Learning to face pressure calmly, honestly, and intelligently is how you build the foundation of mental toughness. And the more you do this, the more unshakable you become. This book is about being calm under fire. Well, fire exposes weaknesses first, so you can forge strength next. That is how real toughness is created. Now you understand the truth. Pressure didn't ruin you. Pressure revealed you. And that revelation is power. That revelation gives you direction. That revelation gives you clarity. You're not guessing what needs improvement anymore. You can see it clearly. That's the key. You faced the mirror. You faced the truth. Now it's time to build control at an even deeper level. Because if pressure reveals what you are, then the next step is learning to stop letting your emotions run your decisions. You already learned to face the truth. Now let's take control of what commands you. You mastered the mirror. Now let's talk about emotional authority. Chapter 3. Your emotions are not your commanders. You feel emotions. Everyone does. But only the undisciplined allow emotions to sit on the throne and command their lives. And that is the truth you must face today. Your emotions are signals. They are not orders. They are messengers. They are not rulers. Emotional maturity equals power. Emotional immaturity equals chaos. If you want to be mentally tough, if you want to be calm under fire, you must separate what you feel from what you do. You must build the ability to say, I feel it, I acknowledge it, but I do not obey it. That is the key. You have a choice. You always do. You are not a puppet attached to strings of impulse. You are not a slave to every emotional spark that ignites inside you. You don't need their permission to control your reactions. You don't need your past to support you. You don't need agreement from your doubts. You decide who commands your life. And if emotions are in command, you will live a reactive life. You will live an unstable life. You will live a life where you destroy relationships, sabotage opportunities, and constantly apologize for the wreckage of your reactions. Look at the difference in the real world. Look at emotional reactors. When something doesn't go their way, they explode.
They argue, they panic, they lash out, they create drama, they make decisions in anger, they make choices in fear, and then they spend weeks fixing damage they could have avoided in seconds. That's what happens when emotions command. But look at composed leaders. They feel the same things. They still feel pressure. They still feel anger. They still feel anxiety. The difference? They do not obey it. They pause, they think, they choose. And because they choose, they stay in control. They produce outcomes instead of excuses. That is emotional authority, and emotional authority is strength. You need to understand something very clearly. Emotions are not bad. Anger is not the enemy. Fear is not the enemy. Doubt is not the enemy. The problem is not that you feel strongly. The problem is that you have not built discipline enough to respond intelligently. It's not about being emotionless. It's about discipline. It's not about suppressing everything. It's about directing everything. You have a choice. That's the key. Say it with me. You feel it, you acknowledge it, but you do not obey it. This is how high performers function. This is how composed people navigate life. This is how mentally tough individuals rise above chaos. Athletes don't stop feeling pressure. They play through it with control. Soldiers don't stop feeling fear. They move with discipline despite it. Executives don't stop feeling stress. They decide calmly under it. You don't need to get rid of emotions. You need to build authority over them.
So let's get practical. How do you actually build that authority? First step, name what you feel. When you name an emotion, you shrink its control over you. Instead of "I'm losing it," say "I'm angry." Instead of "I can't think," say "I'm anxious." Instead of "everything is falling apart," say "I feel overwhelmed." Naming it separates you from it. It tells your brain, this is something happening in me, it is not me. That's the key. Awareness gives you power. Second step, pause. Always pause. Even a 2-second pause creates space for discipline. You have a choice. You can react by instinct, or you can respond with intention. The pause is where strength lives. The pause is where maturity activates. The pause is where you decide, I feel it, I acknowledge it, but I will not obey it. You don't need permission to pause. You don't need approval to take control of time. You simply choose it. Third step, align with principle, not emotion. Ask yourself, what would discipline do here? What would my strongest self do here? What decision will I respect later? That is emotional maturity. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing? And you start asking, what is the right thing to do? That's the key. That's where power lives. Because if your life is directed by feelings, your life will always be unstable. Feelings change, discipline holds. Feelings fluctuate, character remains. Feelings distort judgment, clarity requires control. You have a choice. It's not about being driven by impulse, it's about being anchored by discipline. Think about the times emotions commanded you, the argument you escalated, the opportunity you abandoned, the message you sent that you wish you never did, the reaction that cost you respect. Those are not accidents. Those are the consequences of emotional obedience. And you're done with that. You're done surrendering power. You're done letting emotions drag you like a storm. Now you build authority. This does not mean you become cold. It doesn't mean you shut down emotionally. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you act with intention. It means you move with discipline. It means you respect yourself enough to stay in control. You can care deeply and still control your behavior. You can feel intensely and still stay composed. You have a choice. That's the key.
And yes, people may not understand you at first. Some will say you're too calm. Some will say you're unemotional. But they don't understand that calm is strength. They don't understand that composure is power. They don't understand that emotional maturity is the foundation of leadership, growth, and success. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You are building something stronger than opinion. You are building emotional authority. Real leaders are not emotionally explosive. Real leaders do not panic publicly. Real leaders do not make decisions based on hurt feelings. Real leaders feel deeply, but act deliberately. You are becoming that, slowly, repeatedly, consistently. So from today forward, this is your standard. You feel it, you acknowledge it, but you do not obey it. Say it again. You feel it, you acknowledge it, but you do not obey it. That is maturity. That is discipline. That is strength. And understand this, every time you choose discipline over impulse, you are rewiring your mind. Every time you refuse emotional obedience, you become more stable, more steady, more unshakable. That is how mental toughness is built, not through avoiding emotions, but through mastering them. You have a choice, always, and when you choose authority over emotion, calm becomes your default, strength becomes your identity, clarity becomes your habit. Emotions will still show up, they always will, but they no longer command, they no longer decide, they no longer control you. You are in charge now. That's the key. You've taken another step toward becoming calm under fire. You learned that emotions are not your commanders. You learned that discipline directs your life, not feelings. Now it's time to build the engine that powers emotional authority every single day. Because authority requires structure, and structure is discipline in action. You've learned to separate feelings from actions. Now let's talk about the silent force that keeps you steady when emotions try to take over.
Chapter 4. Discipline is the silent superpower. Discipline is not loud. Discipline is not dramatic. Discipline does not boast, scream, or demand applause. Discipline is silent. But discipline is power. When chaos hits, discipline decides whether you stay steady or collapse. When everything feels uncertain, discipline creates predictability. When motivation disappears, and it will, discipline is what carries you forward. That is the truth. That is the reality. And that is why discipline is the silent superpower. You have to understand something fundamental. Life will not always feel good. You will not always be inspired. You will not always feel strong. You will not always feel confident. And if your mental state depends on feelings, you will live a fragile life. That's the key. You have a choice. Rely on emotional energy or rely on disciplined structure. Rely on motivation or rely on habit. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is an engine. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Look at the highest performers in the world. Look at elite athletes. They don't train only when they feel like it. They train because it's time to train. Look at military operatives. They don't practice when it's convenient. They practice because discipline keeps them alive. Look at top professionals. They don't execute when inspiration strikes. They execute because execution is required. Structure beats stress. Routine beats panic. That's the key. When chaos rises, disciplined people don't have to figure out what to do. They already know. Their habits guide them. Their structure stabilizes them. That is why discipline equals emotional control, because discipline removes unnecessary decisions. Discipline removes chaos. Discipline removes uncertainty. When your life has structure, your mind has stability. When your actions are consistent, your emotions lose power over you. It's not about being lucky, it's about discipline. It's not about natural strength, it's about intentional repetition. You don't need their permission to be disciplined. You don't need your circumstances to align. You don't need approval from anyone. You build structure because you choose to. Let's talk about real life.
Think about mornings. Most people wake up and immediately enter chaos. No plan, no order, no direction. They react to the day instead of leading it. And when stress hits, they collapse. Why? Because there is nothing holding them steady. No anchor, no routine. But disciplined people? They have structure. They have anchors. They have patterns that ground them. Morning routines, training routines, planning routines. Not glamorous, not flashy, but powerful. Structure beats stress. Routine beats panic. Think about intense environments. Hospitals, military units, air traffic control, elite sports. Do they wing it? No. They run systems. They run checklists. They run repetition. Why? Because discipline makes control automatic. When the pressure hits, they don't guess, they execute. You have a choice. That's the key. You can live reactively, or you can build systems that hold you steady.
Many people reject discipline because they believe it restricts freedom. They think routines trap them. They think structure limits them. But here is the brutal truth. Chaos is not freedom. Chaos is slavery to stress. Lack of structure is not freedom, it is instability. Discipline isn't your prison. Discipline is your protection. Discipline is what gives you control when life isn't kind, and life will not always be kind. You want to be calm under fire? Then build discipline when things are quiet. You want composure under stress? Then build systems when you're relaxed. The time to build discipline is not in the middle of chaos. The time to build discipline is before chaos comes. That's the key. So what does transformation actually look like? What do you need to start doing? First, create predictable anchors in your day. Morning anchors, night anchors, self-mastery anchors. Something as simple as waking up at a set time. Something as simple as 10 minutes of breathing or journaling. Something as simple as reviewing your tasks before you start your day. This is not weakness, this is mental armor. Second, eliminate randomness. Stop hoping you'll be disciplined. Stop relying on feelings. Stop waiting until you feel ready. You have a choice. You either build a system or you stay stuck in emotional chaos. Plan your training, plan your learning, plan your growth. Put discipline on your calendar, because when it's on the calendar, it becomes real. Third, repeat relentlessly. Discipline is not built once. Discipline is reinforced daily. That repetition rewires your mind. That repetition creates automatic strength. Structure beats stress. Routine beats panic. Say it again. Structure beats stress. Routine beats panic. Look at the military. They repeat drills endlessly, not because it's exciting, but because repetition creates certainty. Under pressure, the brain defaults to the most practiced behavior. You can't think clearly if you've never trained clarity. You can't stay calm if you've never trained steadiness. That's the key. Calm is not magic. Calm is trained behavior supported by disciplined structure. Yes, people will criticize discipline. They'll call you too strict. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll suggest you relax more. But remember, most people are drowning in stress. Most people panic easily. Most people live reactive lives. Do not take advice from people controlled by chaos. You don't need their permission to be disciplined. You don't need their approval to build strength. You're not building a life for spectators. You're building a life that stands strong under pressure. And yes, discipline will be uncomfortable. Yes, discipline will feel boring sometimes. Yes, discipline requires effort when you least feel like giving effort. But understand this: discomfort now prevents disaster later. Effort now prevents regret later. Repetition now prevents panic later. That's the key. When discipline is in place, mental toughness becomes natural. When routines exist, composure becomes effortless. When structure anchors you, chaos loses its grip. You don't have to fight your emotions constantly. You simply operate within disciplined systems that protect your mind. You have a choice every day. Will you live by impulse or by structure? Will you rely on feelings or rely on discipline?
Will you continue to scramble in chaos, or will you build predictability into your life? Structure beats stress. Routine beats panic. Discipline builds calm. And here is the bigger truth. Discipline does not only control your behavior, discipline strengthens your identity. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who collapses, not as someone who reacts, but as someone who is steady, someone who follows through, someone who is dependable, especially to themselves. This entire audiobook is about being calm under fire. Discipline is how you prepare for fire. Discipline is how you withstand fire. Discipline is how you continue to move forward while others run from the heat. You've learned to build structure. You've learned that discipline is your silent superpower. Now we take the next step, because discipline is built in discomfort. Toughness is forged in environments that challenge you. You've built structure. Now it's time to strengthen it.
Chapter 5. Stop seeking comfort and start building capacity. Comfort feels good. Comfort is warm. Comfort is safe. But comfort is also the silent enemy of strength. Comfort weakens. Challenge strengthens. Repeated exposure creates resilience. If you keep chasing comfort, you will keep escaping growth. If you keep protecting yourself from discomfort, you will keep protecting yourself from becoming stronger. Toughness is not an accident. Toughness is not a personality trait. Toughness is built deliberately by leaning into discomfort instead of running from it. You have a choice. That's the key. Every day you are faced with moments where your mind says, "This is uncomfortable, avoid it." And in that moment, you decide who you become. You either choose comfort and stay the same, or you choose challenge and expand. It's not about talent, it's about discipline. It's not about natural toughness, it's about trained resilience. You don't need their permission to get stronger. You don't need approval to push yourself. You simply have to stop worshiping comfort. We live in a world obsessed with ease. Everything is designed to remove effort. Faster solutions, softer lifestyles, less friction, less strain. And people wonder why they break so easily under stress. People wonder why the slightest inconvenience destroys their mood. People wonder why pressure overwhelms them. The truth is simple. When you live in constant comfort, your capacity stays small. Your mind never adapts. Your emotional threshold never expands. Comfort weakens. Challenge strengthens. Repeated exposure creates resilience. Look at every domain where toughness exists. Athletes do not get stronger by staying comfortable. They push, they stretch, they train when their body says no. That's why they perform under pressure. Soldiers do not build courage in cozy conditions. They train in difficulty. They rehearse under fatigue. They face controlled hardship, so when real chaos hits, they can stand. High-performing professionals do not grow by staying in easy roles. They take responsibility, they face stress, they build capacity. That's the key. Discomfort builds capacity. Capacity builds calm. Most people believe a lie. They think strength just comes when life gets hard. They think toughness magically appears when needed. No, strength is built before the storm. Capacity is trained before the challenge. Mental toughness is not born in the moment. It is revealed in the moment, and it is trained long before that. You have a choice. Either you train discomfort on purpose, or discomfort breaks you when it arrives uninvited. So let's get direct. If you want to become emotionally strong, you must stop avoiding hard conversations. You must stop running from difficult tasks. You must stop escaping every stressful situation. The more you avoid, the weaker you get. The more you hide, the more fragile you become. The more you protect yourself from discomfort, the less capable you are when it matters. Comfort weakens. Challenge strengthens. Repeated exposure creates resilience.
This is not about suffering for no reason. This is not about being reckless. This is not about chasing pain. This is about intentional exposure. This is about controlled challenge. This is about gradually increasing pressure so your mind adapts, your nerves harden, and your emotional resilience grows. Just like muscles grow through stress, your mind grows through discomfort. That's the key. Think about cold showers, early mornings, disciplined routines, hard training, challenging projects, honest conversations, uncomfortable decisions. These are not punishments. These are tools. Tools for building capacity, tools for expanding tolerance, tools for strengthening self-control. Every time you choose challenge over comfort, you prove something powerful to yourself. I can handle more than I thought. And that belief builds calm. That belief builds confidence. That belief builds inner strength. Real transformation happens when you stop asking what is easiest and start asking what will make me stronger. You have a choice every day. You can scroll or study. You can delay or execute. You can complain or confront. You can stay safe or grow. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need the world to understand. This is your capacity. This is your strength. This is your life. And yes, challenge will be uncomfortable. Yes, you will feel resistance. Your mind will protest. Your emotions will try to negotiate. They will tell you to quit, to slow down, to back away. But remember, your mind is not always trying to protect you. Sometimes it's trying to keep you small. Sometimes it's trying to keep you in the familiar. Familiar feels safe. Familiar feels comfortable. But familiar can also be weak. Comfort weakens. Challenge strengthens. Repeated exposure creates resilience. Let's talk about what you must actually do. First, deliberately choose situations that stretch you. Speak when you'd rather stay silent. Try when you'd rather avoid. Lead when you'd rather follow. Second, stay there longer than your comfort wants you to. Don't run at the first sign of discomfort. Extend your tolerance. Third, reflect afterward. Notice that you didn't break. Notice that you handled it. Notice that your mind exaggerated the threat. That is how capacity builds, step by step, challenge by challenge. Every time you remain composed in discomfort, you are training your nervous system. You are rewiring your mental response to stress. What once overwhelmed you will eventually feel normal. What once terrified you will become manageable. That's resilience. That's growth. That's discipline. And the more capacity you build, the calmer you become under pressure, because pressure no longer feels foreign. It no longer shocks you. You've trained for it.
People who panic under stress aren't weak people. They're simply untrained. They've lived lives built on comfort. They've avoided pressure. They've never stretched their limits. So when real stress arrives, they collapse. Don't be that person. Don't be the person who only feels strong in comfortable environments. Be the person who can function anywhere. Be the person who can stay steady in uncertainty. Be the person who has trained their capacity. You have a choice. That's the key. You can continue worshiping comfort, or you can build the emotional stamina that separates fragile minds from powerful ones. It's not about ease, it's about discipline. It's not about what feels good, it's about what makes you capable. You don't need anyone's permission to step into challenge. You simply have to decide that comfort is no longer your goal. Growth is. This audiobook is about becoming calm under fire. While the only way to stay calm in fire is to stop living your life in air conditioning. You build resilience by meeting difficulty, not escaping it. You build toughness by training your capacity, not protecting your comfort. Comfort weakens, challenge strengthens. Repeated exposure creates resilience. Remember that. You've learned to stop chasing comfort and start building capacity. Now let's refine that power even further. Because toughness isn't about controlling everything, it's about focusing on what truly matters when pressure rises. You've built strength, now you must direct it wisely. Chapter 6. Focus on what you can control ruthlessly. Panic doesn't come from pressure itself. Panic comes from focusing on what you cannot control. That's the hard truth most people never learn. They drown mentally, not because life is impossible, but because their attention is on things they cannot influence, cannot fix, cannot change. And when your mind lives in what you cannot control, you live in frustration, anxiety, anger, and fear. Power comes from the opposite. Power comes from locking ruthlessly onto what you can control. Power comes from narrowing your focus. Power comes from discipline. You have a choice. That's the key. Every situation gives you two paths: obsess over what is outside your power or own what is inside your power. One path leads to panic. One path leads to strength. One path drains you. One path builds you. You don't need their permission to choose clarity. You don't need approval to choose discipline. You simply have to stop giving your attention to things that do not belong to you. Think about real life. A setback hits. Maybe the opportunity didn't come. Maybe the deal fell apart. Maybe the plan collapsed. Most people waste energy crying about what could have been. They replay it mentally. They drown in "why did this happen to me?" But none of that changes anything. The outcome already happened. The clock does not rewind for emotional reaction. Panic changes nothing. Rage changes nothing. Complaining changes nothing. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Think about betrayal. Someone you trusted failed you. Someone you counted on disappointed you. Most people spiral. They get consumed with resentment. They get stuck in blame. They replay every detail, trying to rewrite history in their minds. But you cannot control another person's choices. You cannot control loyalty. You cannot control integrity in others. You only control your response. You control boundaries. You control who stays in your life. You control your standards. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Think about unexpected failure. The kind that hits out of nowhere, a sudden change, a force beyond your planning. Most people crumble because they believe control means controlling everything. It doesn't. Real control is strategic. Real control is selective. Real control means saying, "I will direct my energy only where it actually matters." That's emotional intelligence. That's mental toughness. That's discipline. Here's the truth. Your mind has limited energy. Your focus is a resource, and wasting it on the uncontrollable is self-sabotage. When you constantly feed your thoughts into what you cannot change, you weaken yourself mentally. You drain your power. You shrink your capacity. Emotional chaos grows when mental discipline disappears.
You have a choice. That's the key. So here is the transformation mindset. Stop reacting emotionally to everything. Start responding strategically to what matters. It is not about control freak behavior. It is about disciplined focus. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about aligning with reality. You don't need their permission to think clearly. You don't need approval to build strength. You simply need to decide that your attention is valuable, your energy is valuable, and your peace is valuable. Let's get practical. When something goes wrong, train yourself to immediately ask 3 questions. What part of this is completely outside my control? Be ruthless. Identify it, name it, accept it, release it. What part of this is within my influence? Your actions, your preparation, your attitude, your response, your next step. What is the best disciplined action I can take next? Not the most emotional action, not the easiest action, the most disciplined action. That's the key. Strategic focus is not accidental. Strategic focus is built. Most people don't do this. Most people fall into emotional reaction. They react to rejection. They react to disappointment. They react to uncertainty, and their lives become constant chaos. But emotionally mature people, Mentally strong people, they pause, they analyze, they decide. They refuse to waste strength on things that can never change. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Say it again. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Let's break down how this applies everywhere. In work, you can control your effort, your preparation, your learning, your discipline. You cannot control outcomes, timing, or other people's decisions. Focus on your effort. Build your competence. Strengthen your consistency. In relationships, you can control your standards, your communication, your boundaries, your behavior. You cannot control someone else's maturity, commitment, or honesty. Stop trying to manage people. Start managing yourself. In life's unexpected storms, you can control your mindset, your adaptability, your problem solving, your resilience. You cannot control fate, randomness, or life's unpredictability. You either resist reality and break, or accept reality and lead. You have a choice, always. The people who stay calm under pressure aren't lucky, they aren't emotionless, they are disciplined. They understand focus. They know what belongs to them mentally and what doesn't. They refuse to let their energy bleed into things beyond reach. That is why they think clearer. That is why they decide better. That is why they stay composed.
And yes, some may not understand you. Some will think you don't care enough. They believe panic equals passion. They believe stress equals seriousness. They think emotional chaos proves effort. It doesn't. Chaos proves lack of control. Panic proves lack of training. You don't need their permission to stay composed. You don't need applause to stay disciplined. You must remember the purpose of this journey: to build a mind that stays calm under fire, a mind that does not collapse, a mind that does not get dragged by every fear, every insecurity, every uncontrollable variable. Calm is leadership. Calm is strategy. Calm is strength. Control the controllable. Release the rest. It feels simple, but it requires courage, because releasing what you cannot control requires acceptance, and acceptance is power, not weakness. When you accept reality, you gain your energy back. When you accept what you cannot control, you reclaim mental space. When you accept, you can finally move forward. You have a choice. That's the key. Either keep living overwhelmed by forces you can't manage, or become ruthless about where your focus goes. Either live emotionally reactive or live strategically disciplined. It's not about ego, it's about discipline. It's not about appearing strong, it's about actually being strong. Because here is the truth. When you control your focus, you control your emotions. When you control your emotions, you control your actions. When you control your actions, you control your life. This audiobook is about building a calm, powerful, unshakable mind. Focusing ruthlessly on what you can control is how you stabilize that mind. It is how you stay clear under stress. It is how you remain powerful when life becomes unpredictable. You learned to focus. You learned to let go. And now it's time to build even deeper strength. Because a strong mind isn't built accidentally, it's trained deliberately. You mastered control of focus. Now let's train your mind like a warrior trains their body. Chapter 7. Train your mind like an athlete trains their body. People talk about mental toughness like it's magic, like it just appears when life gets hard. Like somehow, under pressure, your mind will suddenly transform into an elite warrior just because you need it to. That is a lie. Mental toughness is not accidental. Mental toughness is not genetic destiny. Mental toughness is trained. Just like strength, just like endurance, just like any other skill. You are training a muscle. Toughness is learned. That's the key. You have a choice. You can let life train you by force, or you can train your mind on purpose. One leads to chaos, one leads to power. One makes you reactive, one makes you disciplined. You do not need their permission to train your mind.
You do not need a special background. You do not need perfect circumstances. What you need is commitment, intentional effort, repetition. Look at athletes. They do not walk into competition hoping they'll feel strong. They train, they condition, they repeat the fundamentals thousands of times. They push their body beyond comfort so that stress becomes familiar. Now think about your mind. Stress breaks you because you never train it. Pressure overwhelms you because your mental muscles are unconditioned. Emotion takes over because you've never built disciplined response patterns. But that changes now. You are training a muscle. Toughness is learned. Mental training must be intentional. It must be structured. It must be repetitive. This is not think positive. This is not believe in yourself and hope. This is training. This is deliberate. This is disciplined. So how do you do it? 3 core tools: visualization, journaling, controlled exposure to stress. These are not optional. These are foundational. These are the tools used by elite athletes, high-level soldiers, high-performing leaders, and top performers across every discipline. They use them because they work. They use them because repetition rewires the brain. They use them because controlled mental training creates uncontrolled strength in real life. Let's start with visualization. Your mind rehearses before your body performs. When you imagine yourself staying calm under pressure, your brain does not treat that as fantasy. It treats it as rehearsal. Neuroscience proves it. When you visualize handling stress with discipline, you are literally building pathways in your brain. You are programming composure. You are rehearsing strength. You have a choice. You can visualize panic, or you can visualize control. That's the key. Every day, visualize stressful scenarios and see yourself staying steady. See yourself breathing slowly. See yourself responding intelligently. See yourself acting with authority, not emotion. You are teaching your mind, this is how we respond now. You are training a muscle. Toughness is learned.
Next, journaling. Not Dear Diary, strategic journaling. Reflection with purpose. You write to analyze. You write to extract lessons. You write to take control of your story. When something triggers you, write it. When pressure hits, document what happened, what you felt, what you did well, where you cracked. This is data. This is training feedback. Just like an athlete reviews game footage, you review your reactions, not to judge yourself, to sharpen yourself. Most people repeat mistakes because they don't learn from them. They don't capture the lesson. They move on emotionally without adjusting mentally. But disciplined journaling builds awareness. Awareness builds control. Control builds calm. You don't need permission to do this, just discipline. It's not about perfection, it's about discipline. Then, controlled exposure to stress. This is powerful. This is where real growth happens. You must gradually expose your mind to pressure in safe, intentional ways. That means willingly stepping into discomfort instead of waiting for life to force it on you. Difficult conversations, challenging responsibilities, situations where you feel nervous, anxious, stretched. Each exposure is a training session. Each exposure expands your tolerance. Each exposure builds capacity. You are training a muscle. Toughness is learned. And here's the psychology behind it. Repetition rewires response patterns. Every time you stay calm when you used to panic, you rewire your brain. Every time you pause instead of reacting emotionally, you strengthen control pathways. Every time you choose discipline instead of impulse, you are conditioning your nervous system to obey you instead of fear. The old you reacted automatically. The trained you responds intentionally. That's the key. Mental training requires consistency, not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, daily. Discipline creates change. Repetition creates stability. If you only train when life forces you to, you'll always be behind, you'll always be scrambling, you'll always be in survival mode. But if you train proactively, you walk into pressure already prepared, already conditioned, already strong. You have a choice. Either hope you'll handle stress when it comes or build the strength beforehand. It's not about natural calm, it's about disciplined conditioning. Look at how elite soldiers train. They rehearse stressful situations repeatedly, so when real danger arrives, their minds do not collapse. Look at pilots. Endless simulation, endless drilling. Why? Because repetition creates automatic calm. When you've seen stress before, it doesn't scare you, it doesn't shake you, it doesn't own you.
The same applies to your life. Stress is not always the problem. Lack of preparation is. You don't need to be born strong. You don't need to be naturally fearless. Toughness is learned. Toughness is earned. Toughness is trained. So here is your transformation blueprint. Visualize daily. Train your brain to see strength, control, strategic calm. Journal honestly. Study your reactions. Learn from them. Adjust deliberately. Expose yourself to controlled challenge. Step into discomfort intentionally. Do this repeatedly. Do this consistently. Do this deliberately. Because repetition builds identity. And once your identity shifts, everything changes. You have a choice. That's the key. Stay mentally weak because you won't train, or become mentally powerful because you will. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. It's not about wishing. It's about training. This audiobook is about becoming calm under fire. You don't achieve that by accident. You build it, thought by thought, choice by choice, practice by practice. You are training a muscle. Toughness is learned, and as you strengthen your mind, something incredible happens. Emotional storms bother you less. Pressure intimidates you less. Chaos rattles you less. You become grounded. You become composed. You become someone people rely on, someone who stands firm when others collapse. That is mental training. That is transformation. You have started training your mind deliberately. Now it's time to refine your power even further. Because once your mind is trained, the next level is learning how to detach emotionally so you can think clearly when pressure rises. You've trained strength. Now let's master emotional distance. Chapter 8. The Strength of Emotional Detachment. Most people misunderstand emotional detachment. They hear detachment and think cold, uncaring, or unfeeling. That is wrong. Emotional detachment is not apathy. Emotional detachment is strategic control. It is the ability to step back from your emotions long enough to think clearly, act intelligently, and protect your peace. Emotional detachment is power. Emotional detachment is maturity. Emotional detachment is what separates calm decision makers from emotionally reactive people who constantly sabotage themselves. You have a choice. That's the key. You can be attached to everything. Attached to outcomes, attached to opinions, attached to validation, attached to fear, attached to insecurity. And when you are attached to everything, everything controls you. Or you can build emotional distance. You can create mental space. You can learn to observe first instead of obeying emotions immediately. You don't need their permission to detach. You don't need approval to stay calm. You just need discipline. Detachment simply means this: you feel, you notice, you step back, then you decide. Detach, observe, decide. That is the process of emotional authority. Look at the difference in the real world. Emotional reactors live in chaos. Something happens and they instantly take it personally, instantly interpret, instantly react. Someone criticizes them, they explode or collapse. Something goes wrong, they spiral into panic.
A plan doesn't work, they emotionally melt before they even think. That is emotional attachment, and it destroys clarity, it destroys confidence, it destroys control. Now look at calm decision makers, look at true leaders, look at composed people. Problems come to them too, stress comes to them too, attacks come to them too, but they do something different. They detach. They don't jump into the emotion immediately. They create distance, they observe, they analyze, they respond deliberately instead of reacting impulsively. That's the key. Detachment allows clarity. Clarity allows strength. Detachment is not about suppressing emotions. It is about managing them. It is not about pretending you don't care. It is about caring intelligently. It is not about becoming robotic. It is about becoming disciplined. You have a choice. You can drown in emotional involvement, or you can rise above it. And here is the truth you must understand. Emotional attachment is what creates unnecessary suffering. You suffer when you attach your worth to outcomes. You suffer when you attach your peace to other people. You suffer when you attach your identity to situations that can change. Emotional detachment frees you. Emotional detachment gives you room to breathe. Emotional detachment gives you the authority to choose your response. Detach, observe, decide. That's the key. When you detach, you stop reacting to the story your mind creates, because your mind loves to exaggerate, it loves to dramatize, it loves to catastrophize. Something small happens and your brain creates an emotional movie of disaster. Detachment allows you to step out of that movie and back into reality. What is actually happening? What do I truly control here? What matters? What doesn't? Emotional detachment turns confusion into direction. Let's get practical. How do you build emotional detachment? First, you practice mental space. When something triggers you, do not respond immediately. Do not answer instantly. Do not decide instantly. Create space. That space is power. That space is maturity. That space is you taking command. You have a choice, always. Second, you separate facts from feelings. Facts are neutral. Feelings are emotional reactions to those facts. Learn to ask, what are the facts? What am I adding emotionally? That's the key. Emotional maturity means you stop mixing your worth, ego, fear, or insecurity into every situation. Third, you refuse to personalize everything. Not everything is about you. Not everything is an attack. Not everything is a threat. Many things simply are. Emotional attachment makes everything feel personal. Emotional detachment allows you to respond logically. Detach, observe, decide. And understand this, emotional detachment makes you stronger in relationships, stronger in leadership, stronger in life. People trust calm minds. People follow composed energy. People respect stability. Emotional volatility may feel intense, but it is not powerful. Stability is power. Clarity is power. Self-control is power. Think about high-stakes environments. Surgeons, pilots, special operations teams, high-level CEOs. Do they make emotionally hot decisions? Do they panic and react? No. They detach emotionally enough to think. They separate themselves from panic so they can execute. That doesn't mean they don't care. It means they care too much to let emotion ruin judgment. You don't need their permission to detach. You don't need anyone to validate your calm approach. This is your mind. This is your discipline. This is your strength. Detachment also protects your peace. When you are overly attached to opinions, you become emotionally fragile. When you are overly attached to approval, you become controlled by people. When you are overly attached to outcomes, you become controlled by uncertainty. But when you detach, you reclaim your emotional independence. You reclaim your strength. Detach, observe, decide. Say it again. Detach, observe, decide. That is emotional power. And yes, some people will misinterpret your detachment. They will think you don't care. They will think you're distant. They will think you're too calm. But understand this, Emotional chaos is normal to them. Emotional discipline feels foreign. Let them misunderstand. You don't need their permission to build peace. You don't need validation to build stability. Your life requires clarity, not approval. You have a choice. That's the key. You can continue being dragged by every emotional impulse, or you can lead your emotions instead of being led by them. It's not about being perfect, it's about discipline. It's not about eliminating feelings, it's about mastering them. Emotional detachment gives you freedom. Freedom from overreaction, freedom from emotional exhaustion, freedom from panic. When you detach, you become harder to provoke, harder to manipulate, harder to destabilize. And that is what calm under fire truly looks like. Not numbness, but disciplined composure. This audiobook is about building a mind that stands firm when tension rises. Emotional detachment is the mechanism that keeps you clear. It is the shield that prevents emotional chaos from hijacking your decisions. It is the discipline that keeps you in command. You've learned to detach. You've learned to step back. But now we need to address something critical. The world will still try to trigger you. People will still push buttons. Situations will still test your composure. Emotional traps are everywhere. You mastered emotional distance. Now it's time to defend that composure when the world challenges it.
Chapter 9. Stay calm when people try to trigger you. The world will test you. People will test you. Some will do it intentionally. Some will do it unconsciously. But make no mistake, emotional traps are everywhere. Arguments, criticism, disrespect, doubt, negativity, provocation, manipulation. Most people lose here, not because the situation is unbeatable, but because they react instead of respond. They hand over emotional power the moment someone pushes the right button. And once you hand over your emotional control, you lose your authority. You lose your steadiness. You lose yourself. They want reaction. You choose control. You have a choice. That's the key. You cannot control how people behave. You cannot control their tone, their patience, their maturity, or their intentions, but you can control how you respond. You can control your emotional stability. You can control whether you fall into the trap or maintain discipline. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need validation to be composed. You decide who runs your emotions, you or them. Understand something clearly. Some people want a reaction from you. Some people thrive on chaos. Some people feel powerful only when they can disturb others. They attack because they are insecure. They provoke because they are weak. They insult because they lack control. Emotional trigger games are often a reflection of their own internal instability. And if you react, if you explode, if you break composure, you are playing their game on their terms. They want reaction. You choose control. Real strength is not in shouting louder. Real strength is not improving yourself. Real strength is not in winning every emotional battle. Real strength is staying steady when someone tries to drag you into emotional chaos. Real strength is silence, discipline, and composure when everything inside you wants to explode. Let's talk about real life. Arguments. Someone raises their voice. Someone challenges you. Someone tries to dominate you emotionally. Most people escalate. They match tone, they match energy, they match chaos, and the situation gets worse, not better. But calm, disciplined people take a breath. They slow the moment. They keep their voice steady. They stay rational. And because they stay calm, they stay in control. Criticism. Some criticism is helpful. Much of it is not. Some comes from jealousy. Some from misunderstanding. Some from insecurity.
Most people crumble emotionally under criticism, either becoming defensive or collapsing into self-doubt. But mentally strong people detach emotionally. They assess, is there truth? If yes, adjust. If no, release it. That's the key. You don't need their permission to trust your growth. You don't need every voice to support you. Disrespect. This one triggers almost everyone. When someone disrespects you, your ego wants to fight. Your pride wants to react. But reacting emotionally often gives away power. Calm does not mean you tolerate disrespect. Calm means you address it with clarity, boundaries, and strength instead of emotional chaos. Calm means you correct behavior without losing your composure. Calm means you remain powerful enough to choose your response. They want reaction. You choose control.
Because here's the truth. People lose their life momentum not only from big tragedies, but from small emotional traps. Daily irritations, petty arguments, internet drama, family drama, ego battles, all draining energy, all destabilizing peace, all weakening focus. Mental toughness requires discipline here. It requires refusing to be emotionally pulled into every meaningless confrontation. You have a choice. That's the key. When someone tries to trigger you, they are offering you emotional bait. You can bite or you can walk away mentally. You can react or you can respond wisely. It's not about pride. It's about discipline. It's not about ego. It's about control. So how do you do this in reality? First, expect emotional tests. Stop being surprised by them. People will misunderstand you. People will judge you. People will provoke you. Expect it. When you expect it, you don't panic. You don't get shocked. You don't emotionally explode. You were prepared. Second, pause before responding. Even 2 seconds of calm breathing gives you control over your nervous system. Your emotions spike instantly. Discipline requires slowing the body so the mind can lead again. That pause is not weakness. That pause is power. Third, evaluate intention. Ask yourself, are they trying to help me, hurt me, or control me? That clarity changes everything. When someone seeks understanding, you communicate. When someone seeks to harm, you detach. When someone seeks control, you refuse submission. That's the key. Response depends on clarity. Fourth, choose your standard response. Calm tone, direct words, and controlled presence. You do not match chaotic energy. You do not mirror emotional immaturity. You remain the grounded one. Calm is not submission. Calm is dominance over yourself. They want reaction. You choose control. And here's something critical. Emotional control makes you unpredictable in the best way. Emotional people are easy to manipulate. Push this button, they explode. Push that insecurity, they collapse. But disciplined people who stay calm under emotional attack, they can't be controlled. They can't be manipulated easily. They can't be emotionally steered. Calm people are powerful because they remain sovereign over themselves. You don't need their permission to hold composure. You don't need approval to refuse emotional drama. You owe loyalty first to your peace, your clarity, your discipline. Yes, some will call you cold. Some will say you don't care enough. Understand this clearly. Emotional chaos feels normal to weak people. Stability feels strange to them. Do not lower your mental standard to make others comfortable. They want reaction. You choose control. This audiobook is about becoming calm under fire. Fire doesn't always look like crisis. Sometimes fire is someone disrespecting you. Sometimes fire is someone doubting you. Sometimes fire is someone provoking you to abandon self-control. Staying calm there matters. Staying disciplined there matters. Staying steady there matters. You have a choice. That's the key. You can continue letting people control your emotions, or you can build an internal fortress no one shakes easily. It's not about ego, it's about discipline. It's not about appearing strong, it's about actually being strong. Because when you refuse to get dragged emotionally, you protect your peace, you protect your clarity, you protect your power. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Calm becomes your instinct, control becomes your reflex, strength becomes your default. They want reaction. You choose control. You've learned to hold your composure even when people try to trigger you. You've learned to stay grounded, disciplined, and unshakable. Now it's time to bring everything together. Everything you've learned, control, discipline, resilience, detachment, leads to one powerful transformation. You've defended your mind. Now let's build an identity that doesn't shake.
Chapter 10. Becoming Unshakable. There comes a point when mental toughness is no longer a goal. It becomes your identity. It is no longer something you try to do. It becomes who you are. You do not panic. You do not collapse. You do not hand over control. You remain grounded, disciplined, deliberate, steady. That is the transformation you have been building toward. That is what it means to become unshakable. Unshakable doesn't mean life stops being hard. It doesn't mean pressure disappears. It doesn't mean emotions go away. Unshakable means this: no matter what shows up, you don't lose yourself. You don't abandon your principles. You don't surrender your composure. You have trained control. You have trained discipline. You have trained emotional authority. And now, under fire, you stand firm. Calm is strength. Calm is confidence. Calm is leadership. Look back at what you've built. You learned to control yourself instead of being controlled by impulse. You learned that pressure is a mirror, exposing what must be strengthened instead of defeating you. You learned your emotions are not commanders, they are signals you choose how to respond to. You learned discipline is not restrictive, it is power. You learned comfort weakens and challenge strengthens. You learned focus, training, detachment, composure under provocation. All of that has led here. You have a choice. That's the key. Becoming unshakable is not destiny, it is discipline. You don't need their permission to become solid. You don't need validation to become steady. This is about commitment. This is about repetition. This is about living the standard every single day. What does becoming unshakable look like in real life? It looks like this. Stress rises. Others panic. You breathe. You slow down. You think. You lead yourself first, then you lead the situation. Problems come unexpectedly. Others crumble and complain. You adapt. You adjust. You ask, what do I control? And you execute. Emotions surge. Others obey theirs. You acknowledge yours, but you do not obey them. You stay disciplined. Tension shows up in relationships, work, environments. Others argue, explode, retreat. You stay composed. You stay intelligent. You stay intentional. Calm is strength. Calm is confidence. Calm is leadership. This level of calm makes you someone people rely on, someone people respect, someone people trust in chaos. Not because you are perfect, not because you are emotionless, but because you are dependable. Others shake, you don't. Others fall apart, you hold steady. Others get lost, you remain centered. That is leadership. That is maturity. That is strength. And understand this clearly. Being unshakable is not about ego. It is not about being tougher than everyone. It is about responsibility. Responsibility for your mind. Responsibility for your reactions. Responsibility for your life. You have a choice. You either let life control you, or you become the one who commands your inner world.
Becoming unshakable requires 3 final commitments. First, you commit to emotional regulation as a lifestyle, not a temporary phase. This isn't something you do only when you feel motivated. This is who you are now. Calm is your standard. Control is your baseline. Panic is no longer acceptable. Overreaction is no longer acceptable. You are done allowing emotions to run your life. Second, you commit to disciplined structure even when comfort tempts you. Discipline is how you keep stability when motivation fades. Structure beats stress. Routine beats panic. That still applies. It always will. You don't need their permission to remain disciplined. You stay disciplined because your future requires it. Third, you commit to mental training and emotional detachment continually. You keep visualizing strength. You keep journaling truth. You keep stepping into challenge. You keep detaching when emotions try to pull you back into chaos. You train like an athlete trains, consistently, deliberately, relentlessly. Calm is strength. Calm is confidence. Calm is leadership. This is the level most never reach. They stay reactive. They stay emotional. They stay dictated by panic. But you are choosing differently. You are choosing responsibility. You are choosing growth. You are choosing discipline. And here is the ultimate truth. Becoming unshakable does not just transform you, it transforms everyone around you. Your calm stabilizes environments. Your composure influences energy. Your strength gives others strength. When others panic, they look to you. When others fall apart, they anchor to you. That is leadership. Silent, powerful, real.
This audiobook is about becoming calm under fire. Becoming unshakable is the completion of that journey. It is the state where pressure comes and you remain you. It is where storms rise and you stay grounded. It is where emotional chaos erupts and you stay disciplined. You have a choice. That's the key. This identity is built one decision at a time, one moment at a time, one disciplined response after another. It is not about being flawless, it is about refusing to surrender control. Calm is strength. Calm is confidence. Calm is leadership. You have walked through control, through pressure, through discipline, through discomfort, through focus, through training, through detachment, through provocation. And now you stand here, stronger, clearer, steadier. This is what you've been building. You've built the foundation. Now live it. And as we close, we will bring all of this together, lock it into your identity, and challenge you to live this every day. You have become stronger. Now it's time to claim it fully.
You have a choice every single day to live as a reactor or to live as a commander of your mind. Panic is easy. Emotion is easy. Breaking down is easy. But calm is earned. Calm is trained. Calm is built through discipline, through control, through relentless commitment to being stronger than your feelings. When pressure rises, you do not collapse. You do not lose yourself. You do not hand over your power. You slow down. You breathe. You choose clarity. You choose strategy. You choose strength. This is mental toughness. Not noise, not ego, not drama, but silent authority over yourself. If you want to live differently, you must think differently. If you want to win under fire, you must be calm under fire. Now the challenge is simple. Apply this, train this, live this. Starting today, you do not panic, you do not react. You stay calm, you stay steady, and you stay unshakable. That is your new standard.